Hey guys, what's going on? Today I'm driving a 2016 Chevrolet Malibu Limited LTZ. I have this car in loan right now, as the wife's car is in the shop to have some work done. So for what it is, I think this is actually a pretty decent car. So I figured I'd just give a quick, first impression on this car, and maybe, a little bit of, a couple shots of it, and an idea of what it's like to drive one of these cars. Just in case anybody out there is potentially interested in getting one of these. My first impressions are it's a pretty nice interior to sit in, honestly, I have to say. Now this is the limited model, so it does have some of the things that the base model doesn't have, but it's got nice leather seats, which are soft, and there's a little bit of bolstering on the side, although it's a little bit too large for me, I guess. I don't really feel the bolstering as much. It's a very nice interior. I think they've done a nice job with the styling of the interior. The lighting of the interior is very nice. There's soft touch materials everywhere. So I do have to say that they have really come a long way from the previous generations of this car in terms of the interior. Now, under the hood, this car does have a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine, and I have to say, it's certainly not on par with what I'm used to driving. Of course, it's not trying to be either. This is trying to be, much more fuel efficient and isn't worried about, things like 0 to 60 figures and so forth. So I'm not really going to review it from that perspective because it just doesn't really make any sense. But that being said, I do want to mention that, it still does accelerate okay. The brakes, to me, feel a little bit spongy, but then, again, that's probably for a comfort factor or something like that. It's not going to have sport brakes. You don't want sport brakes on something that's, a family car that's a daily driver for somebody that's got, kids in the back or something like that. You wouldn't necessarily want, 6-piston Brembos all the way around. So I think from that perspective, this is quite a nice car. Oh, awesome. I'm stopped at a drawbridge. Oh, yay, the drawbridge is going up. Okay, so that gives me a minute to sort of look over the details of the interior a little bit here. It's got a decent glove box, plenty of storage space to put stuff there. It's got some storage under here. It's got a USB port in here, and another power outlet. It's got 2 cup holders that are sort of staggered in this center console here. It's actually got little slots for, I assume it's a smartphone or maybe pens, or I've got my wallet in one of them and a smartphone in another. I haven't really seen this on too many vehicles, and a lot of places a lot of vehicles will just have one. This has actually got 2 of them, which is kind of nice. One for the passenger, one for the driver, I assume, from the layout. It's got a parking brake here, which is kind of interesting. I guess if you wanted to do, attempt handbrake turns or something, you could use it for that. It's got a 6-speed automatic transmission with manual shift mode. So it's got the plus and minus buttons here on the shift knob. All you have to do is basically, you've got park, reverse, neutral, drive as normal, and one back from that is M, which is manual, and that's what gives you the ability to select your gears. Of course, again, it is an automatic transmission, so you're only going to have so much play with that. I think the The dashboard display here is quite nice. I like the color choices that they've got here. It shows me my fuel range. It's not too fancy. It doesn't have a whole lot of the bells and whistles that some other cars I've seen have, but it's quite nice for what it is, I think. It's also got this MyLink display here in the center, so that's what displays that's your display for your radio, your navigation if you've got it, your phone. So if you call somebody, it's got Bluetooth. You can hook up your phone to it. One thing I think about this center display that's kind of neat that I found on accident is actually got this release right here, which the whole display folds up, and then it's actually got more storage space back in here. So I found that to be actually kind of cool. It's like a hidden little storage compartment. That's a unique design feature that I kind of like. Overall, I think the attention to detail of the interior of this car is pretty nice. I like the faux wood grain thing that they've got going on here with the dark wood in the center. It's got the OnStar, of course, and looks like it's got just your standard lights and stuff up here. Plenty of room in the back seats. There's more than enough room for any and all of your passengers back there. You could easily fit 3 people in that back seat without a problem. So a couple of other interesting things that this has. I am not used to driving cars that have I think they call it auto stop on this car. When you roll up to a red light and you stop, and you're stopped for a few seconds, the engine actually shuts down to conserve fuel. The first time it did that to me, I was like, wait, did the car just die? But no, it didn't, because as soon as you let off the brake, it starts up again. So I thought that was a pretty cool feature. The only other place that I've seen that on the cars that I have personally driven were on BMWs and things like that. So it's kind of cool that they put that feature in here, and it kicks in quite often, I have to say. So in fact, I'm coming up to a red light now, so it's probably going to do it right here. Yep, and there it goes. So it kind of leaves the AC running for a couple of seconds, and then kicks it down. If it's on a really hot day or something, though, the car will start back up so that the AC continues to run, because obviously the compressor can't work if the engine isn't spinning. On a really hot day where you have the AC cranked up, the engine's probably not going to shut off. But on a day-to-day where it's kind of rainy and overcast and not very, very warm outside at all, it really can save a lot of fuel when you're sitting at stoplights. In terms of power, this does have a 2.5-liter engine under the hood. I don't know the exact figures on that. Of course, like I said, I don't really tend to rely on numbers so much as when you put your foot down, how does it react? I'll be honest, this isn't a speedster car. It's definitely not fast, but it doesn't do bad either. I've driven lots of cars where you just put your foot down and absolutely nothing happens. The Toyota Prius comes to mind on that. And I've driven several of those throughout the years, and you put your foot down and it makes a little bit more noise, but not much else happens besides that. This car definitely makes a little bit more noise when you put your foot down, but it also, you can feel it downshifting and attempting to get up to speed too. It doesn't have tons of power, like I said, but I think it's sufficient enough for what kind of vehicle this is. That being said, also, one thing that you might have noticed throughout the recording of this video is it's very, very quiet in here. A lot of cars that I've driven, especially if you've seen any of the Subaru videos of my car, it's very loud inside, just because of the way the engine is, the exhaust setup, and all that. They've taken a lot of care to insulate the sound from the outside. It's a very, very quiet place to be, especially when you're cruising at the same speed. You're not really accelerating or decelerating too much, and it's a very quiet, soft, comfortable place to be. I have to say, I think they've done a pretty good job with this car. The only cons, like I said, are that the brakes are a little bit spongy. They feel like you really kind of have to stand on them to really get the car to stop. Again, that may be intentional, maybe not, I'm not sure, but I would like to see a little bit more responsiveness out of the brakes. The transmission doesn't seem to shift that fast. Even if you've got it in manual mode, it doesn't really seem, it takes a second to actually go between gears. In that sense, it's a little bit of a slush box. If I put it into manual here, and I'm doing 30 miles an hour. So this actually has it in fifth gear at 30 miles an hour to try and conserve fuel. So if I downshift, there it goes. Let me see, downshift, and now. There we go. Okay, so let me just shift back up to fifth here and try it one more time. Okay, so we're in fifth gear. I'm going to downshift right now, and it switched. I'm going to downshift one more time right now, and it switched. So it does take a little bit of time to perform those gear changes. I've driven a lot of vehicles with automatic transmissions where the change happens much quicker than that. So, you know, I would have to say that that's probably another con. You know, so the brakes and the transmission are probably a little bit cons of this vehicle. The pros would be it's a very comfortable car to drive. It's a good-looking car. The styling is very nice on it. The outside looks great. The inside looks great. It's very quiet. So I think, you know, overall that this is a fairly well-built vehicle. So that's pretty much my first impressions on the 2016 Chevy Malibu Limited LTZ. So if you like this review, please, you know, leave me a comment or two with feedback below, and please subscribe because there's going to be a lot more different reviews coming up, and you know, I'm going to be posting some more videos, you know, on my Subaru blog and things like that. So I've got a lot of interesting content coming up around the corner. I got some videos to get edited down. So there's lots of good stuff, and if you guys subscribe, you'll see it as soon as it comes out. So yeah, please subscribe and like the video, and thanks.